It was absolutely insane. It's definitely been the most unreal baseball game I've been a part of for sure. 100% without a doubt the highest scoring. It was one of those games where, the wind was blowing out, so everything that was up in the air had a shot.
Welcome to episode 282 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. What a week it's been in the baseball world, particularly in the Western Canadian Baseball League. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, the news headlines. After a good couple of appearances out of the bullpen, Calgary's Michael Soroka has hit a challenging stretch of games with the Chicago White Sox. He's made 3 appearances since May 26th, allowing 8 runs on 6 hits, while walking 5 and striking out 9. His ERA has jumped back up over 6 as well. Here's hoping he can get things straightened around and soon. In the minors, you gotta wonder if Okotoks Dogs alum Tristan Peters is bound for a call up to Tampa Bay in the not-too-distant future. He's lighting it up in June with a .385 batting average, a double, triple, homer, and 3 RBI. He's also making a daily appearance on the must-see defensive plays out in left field for the AAA Durham Bulls.
Chadwick Tromp begins the second inning, swings first pitch on a Wiles line drive, carries to left field, diving forward is Peters, and he gets the glove underneath it and makes another 5-star catch in the outfield.
It just happens every night, doesn't it?
Always great to see Peters continuing to do his thing. AHP Academy product and coach Eric Zabrowski has now made 3 appearances in his second trek with the AAA Columbus Clippers. The Cleveland Guardians prospect made his last appearance June 1st, allowing 2 hits and 1 run while striking out 3 in an inning and 2/3. And Vauxhall Academy grad Adam Mako continues to ring up hitters with Toronto's AA team, the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. He allowed 3 runs on 5 hits with a walk and 7 Ks in 5 innings during a 4-3 win over Akron this week. Mako is 3-2 in 10 starts with a 3.86 ERA and 63 strikeouts in 49 innings. We haven't done any updates from Indie Ball lately, so let's go there for a trio of players. Lethbridge's Landon Barassa is into his 4th season with the Winnipeg Goldeyes and is 1-2 in 5 starts with a 3.72 ERA, and he's also struck out 34 in 29 innings of work. Grand Prairie's Dane Tofflin is playing some great baseball with the Rocky Mountain vibes of the Pioneer League. He even hit the team's first homer of the 2024 campaign.
The 2-1 on the way. Swing by Tofflin to the high, deep drive left field. This ball is way back, and this ball is gone. It's the first professional home run ever hit at this ballpark, and it belongs to Dane Tofflin, and then it makes it 2-0 now in favor of Rocky Mountain.
Tofflin is now hitting .343 with 2 homers and 8 RBI in 10 games. And Sherwood Park's Scott Gillespie is back for another year with the Welland Jackfish of the IBL. He's made 3 relief appearances, picking up 1 save and striking out 4, while sporting an ERA of 2.07. The countdown is on for the NCAA Division I National Championship, which starts in just over a week's time. The original group of 64 has been whittled down to 32, with a handful of Canadians still on rosters, including Dogs Academy alum Micah McDowell and Oregon State. They are ranked number 15 in the country. Meantime, more college accolades are being handed out. Among the 4 Canadians named to the NAIA All-American teams, 2 have connections here in our province. Chestermere's Logan Grant was named to the 2nd team after his award-winning performance with Bellevue University, while fellow Dogs alum Nash Crowell made the 3rd team out of Reinhardt University. The West Coast League baseball season is underway, and Alberta's lone team, the Edmonton Riverhawks, are 2-3 through the first 5. They have their home opener set for Friday at Remax Field against Nanaimo. The league also announcing its first players of the week on Monday, and former Dog and friend of the show, Max Hartman, was recognized as one of the winners. Playing for the Wenatchee Apple Sox, he went 7 for 13 with 3 walks and 5 runs scored. Let's head over to the WCBL now, and the league's power rankings are out. The Okotoks Dogs sit in top spot after starting the year undefeated while scoring more than 10 runs a game. The Sylvan Lake Gulls sit in second, while the Regina Red Sox round out the top 3. It is early on in the season, though, and it won't take much for those standings to flip with a good or bad series by any team. All everyone is really talking about right now, though, is the absolute barn burner in Brooks on Tuesday night.
This curveball is slapped into right field, and it's way out of here. So a 3-run no-doubter from Carlin Dick. As Phillips drives to the gap in right center field. Bat flip tells you it's gone, and it is. So Kelton Phillips with a 2-run shot. DeWitt just has 5 innings of work on the season as this ball's driven into deep center field. Going back, it's gone! Jacob Gillis with a solo shot to center. His third at bat. Monroe skies one to center field. Back going Matthews looking up. It's gone. So Monroe with a 3-run homer has really busted this game open. Matthews going. Phillips drives this. Deep center field. Looking up. It's gone! Kelton Phillips has a hat trick.
In case you missed it, the wind-fueled affair between the host Bombers and Lethbridge Bulls ended in a 31-26 final score, setting several records along the way. You can read more about the insanity of that game at albertadugoutstories.com. Coincidentally, I had lined up conversations with our first two guests about a week ago and had planned to chat on Wednesday anyways, so we just had a little more to talk about after Tuesday's craziness. We'll take you into both dugouts, starting with Victor's. Josh Kabayama is a long-time Bull, having been with the team since the pandemic-shortened 2021 season, where Lethbridge ended up winning the WCBL championship. This season, the Lethbridge native and University of Mount Olive outfielder is hitting .382 with 4 RBI and 4 stolen bases. On Tuesday, he went 1 for 4 with 2 walks and 3 runs scored. Josh, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Let's talk about last night first off. 31-26 final score. What was it like being a part of something crazy like that?
Yeah, kind of as I was saying a little bit before we hopped on here, it's something that just doesn't happen. You're kind of in the moment, looking around at the other guys, and you almost have to laugh at some point when there's literally 3 zeros on the board and anything that's hitting the air seems to be leaving the ballpark. I mean, it was a crazy game.
Ever seen anything like it before? And maybe give us a comparison. Like, what's the weirdest, craziest score you'd seen prior to last night?
Honestly, I have a buddy that I played at PBA with, Max Benton. I don't know if you know that name. But he had posted on his Instagram story the one time, and I think the score was like 35-20 or something. And I actually pulled up and replied to him, and I was like, this can't be real. Like, that's not that just doesn't happen. And then, of course, this coming summer that we play, we have basically the exact same outcome as that. So pretty wild. I mean, I've never been a part of something quite like that.
As a hitter, did it feel like if you hit it in the air, it was going to leave the park?
Yeah, see, I was one of the few guys that didn't hit it in the air and leave the park, but I feel like, that was definitely an idea in the back of your head. Like, hey, if I sit back, I was a righty and it was just blowing straight out to right field. If I sit back and I just put a little loft on it to right field, it might go. But yeah, I think a lot of our guys' game plan really was see it on the inner half. We had a heavy stacked lefty lineup just due to the wind and a lot of power. And those guys were just trying to elevate to the pull side, and I mean, obviously it worked. So, yeah, I think that was definitely in the back of our minds.
As an outfielder, how weird is it to try to track a ball that is hit in the air with the wind whipping like that?
Yeah, usually I really enjoy that part of the game, tracking down the ball, getting my jumps. I feel like that's where I excel on the field. So it almost felt like I was a little helpless. I mean, it just goes up and all of a sudden you're turning your neck. I mean, I really didn't think there was much that our pitchers and guys could do. It's really just a matter of if the other guys could get underneath one and it would just go. So, I mean, it was a crazy game. Obviously, those runs scored, that just doesn't really happen unless something crazy like that's going on. Especially because they already have a small ballpark to begin with. So yeah, I mean, you almost feel like you're on an island, and it was so windy. It started to get a little cold, and there really wasn't much you could do.
I know there's a lot of conversations happening in the outfield, and especially when you're trying to track something and your fellow outfielders back, that kind of thing. When you looked at your fellow outfielders, like Carlin, for example, are you sitting there going, I don't know, just try your best and see what happens?
Well, a lot of the times you would have your first initial step back, and then you'd kind of either give them a, hey, that's gone, or got to find the wall, because it was really it was going to land on the track right up against the wall or it was going to get out. I mean, there was one that Carlin tried to jump for and it hit the top of the fence and went out. And really the talk is just like, hey, you got to get up here. Like, just, you know, you got to do what you can in the moment, but there's only so much you can do.
Absolutely. So take us inside the dugout then, and what's everyone saying? Because I feel like it would start off with a little bit of anger, like, man, this just isn't our night defensively, or it's not our night from a pitching perspective. But at the same time, after a while, when it's back and forth like it is, you're probably kind of kidding about it. Talk us through the vibe in the dugout.
I mean, it was definitely quite strange. We had a few new faces that just joined us. That was their first game. Our leadoff guy Tyler and our four-hole there, Ryan David. Both of them. I mean, I don't think they really knew what to expect going in, and none of us did actually for that game. So it was a nice welcome to the WCBL for them. We had to tell them that, hey, not everyone's like this, but no, it was a lot of laughs. I mean, guys had fun, but at the same time, it kind of gets to a point where it's like, how many runs are going to get scored in this game? Like, is this ever going to end? But no, like, you know, we did all have fun, and we're all a pretty close, tight-knit group. So, yeah, I mean, it's in the end of the day, like, we all just, I don't know, the vibes are high all the time. So
fantastic. So how bad, though, do you feel for the pitchers in a game like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if any of those guys are into stats or ERA or care about that, probably shaking their head today. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it. Like, we had a couple guys going into that game that with 0 ERAs that have been throwing really well for us. And I mean, I don't think their numbers will reflect like how well they've been throwing now. Mm-hmm. But you know, like in the end of the day, like we still won the game, right? So you can't be too mad at anybody. A win's a win, right? So.
Absolutely. Now you're having yourself on a personal level a pretty good start. 382, 4 RBI, 4 stolen bases in 9 games. How happy are you with your performance to this point?
You know, going into this summer, I've played here for like 4 years. As I said, like the group of guys here, we've all kind of been together. We all kind of grew up together playing ball. You know, it's really just about like having fun. Considerably, this might be my last summer playing ball. So I'm really honestly just going to soak it all in and have fun all summer. And, you know, the results are one thing, but it'd be really cool to go out on a high note with us finding a way to win this thing. And yeah, I'm just excited. I just have fun with this group. It's a great group, great coaching staff. And, you know, we're just going to have fun all summer and hope that we end up on the right end every other game. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I continue to play well, obviously, and help my team win. But in the end, I mean, it's really just about having fun.
For sure. You've been, as you mentioned, you've been on the team for a while now. You're a product of Lethbridge as well. What do it mean to you to bring another WCBL championship back home after you did it back in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, the 2021 year was my first year, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, it was like basically an all-Canadian league. It was kind of because of COVID, it was a little bit of a mess. But yeah, no, winning that thing was awesome. I mean, I would gladly win another one here, hopefully with the guys. I mean, as I said, we're all really close and tight knit. So we all play together. We're all bought in, and it's we just have a lot of fun. So I would love to have another championship here in Lethbridge, and I know that the fans and the everybody in Lethbridge here would be backing around us. So yeah, hopefully we can make that happen.
Absolutely. Let's get into your backstory here a little bit, Josh. How did you get into baseball in the first place?
Yeah, so I was kind of late in getting into baseball, to be honest with you. I was always a hockey guy. Growing up with my dad, he coached with the Hurricanes and stuff like that, and he played pro for quite some years. So I didn't pick up baseball until I was about 10 or 11, I think. And I really got into it because of an older cousin. He actually went to Vauxhall and went to PBA, and we would always go camping and just throw the ball around. And then I think one year I kind of just decided, hey, screw it, let's try out baseball. And ever since, I mean, I've really enjoyed it, and I've made a lot of friends and memories playing the game. How
weird was it to try to make that choice? Because, I mean, here in Canada, it's all hockey all the time, and especially when you got that family lineage attached to it. Was it did you get a bit of that sideways glance? Like, You're going to try baseball and not hockey?
Yeah, see, I mean, going into high school, I felt like I kind of had to start making a decision at some point. I kind of grew up undersized, and I did love hockey, and I still do love hockey. But the passion and the drive and the work ethic for it, it kind of dwindled away for me. I wasn't as committed to it, and results obviously weren't really showing as much as I wanted to. It wasn't something that I couldn't have pursued. But I definitely was just like, hey, like I think I'm pretty good at this game. Like this might be something that I'd rather do. So I got an opportunity when I was like 16 to play with the PBA team under Todd Hubka, and play with the JV team with Jesse Sawyer. And ever since then, like I feel like I've excelled as a ball player and really toned on my skills. So.
You've spent a lot of time with that PBA program as well. What's that program mean to you in the grand scheme, not just as a ball player, but also as a human being?
I mean, it means a lot. I played under Coach Hub ever since I was like 12. I grew up with his kid, Ty, and he's been amazing to me. That whole coaching staff has been amazing to me. That program has taught me a lot. I grew up a lot while I was there. I really wasn't planning on staying there as long as I did, but since COVID, I did stay for my 2 college years, and I think that was probably the best thing for me, to be honest with you. I grew immensely, and you know what? Not just on the ball field and physically, but yeah, I mean they taught me a lot. So I'm really happy with my time there, and those people there are great people. So.
Absolutely. And then it turned you into an opportunity for you to go stateside as well. What's the experience been like over at Mount Olive?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of dealt with injuries throughout my career. So my first year there, I came in with a little bit of a blown out knee. So I didn't really get any opportunities in that first year. Came in there healthy this past year and kind of found my way into a starting spot in center field. And again, I battled with some injuries again. I can't keep away from those, but no, I had a lot of fun. Our team we did quite well this year. I mean, obviously we came up a little bit short in a regional, but yeah, I was able to work my way into the starting lineup and be like an everyday guy. And the opportunities I got there were pretty awesome as well. I mean, the coaching staff there and the teammates I had there were awesome, and I fat in, and I had a lot of fun.
Very cool. When you look back on your young career to this point, do you have any favorite memories or moments on the field where you had to take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
See, I'm pretty lucky as to where when we were 14 and 15, I believe, we were able to go to the World Series for Little League, playing for Team Canada. And like those moments are kind of surreal. Like when you look across the field and you see a team like Puerto Rico or Venezuela or like some place that you just would never imagine even playing people from. Like they're not even speaking the same language as you. And I mean, you can still connect through something like baseball. Like the baseball community is something crazy. And I mean, I don't have enough thanks for the game.
How cool was it to take part in something that's got that international flavor to it? And did you take anything away from an opportunity like that?
Well, like, yeah, I mean, just the game is so much, I feel like it's so much different. Like they're beating drums in the stands as you're playing. They're singing along throughout the game. It almost just feels like the atmosphere is just like completely different. But I mean, it was super enjoyable. Like it's just like one of those experiences that you know that you're probably never going to be able to do this again. So you just really just have fun in the moment and you enjoy it.
For sure. Conversely, baseball is a game of failure, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this, although you kind of hinted at it with the injury part. What's been maybe the biggest obstacle or hurdle that you've had to overcome over your career?
I would definitely say the injury thing. I mean, I haven't been the luckiest when it comes down to it. I feel like this year was maybe the most I've been able to play throughout the year. I seem to miss about about half a year at least with some sort of injury. I mean, but again, it is what it is. Like you can really do as much as you can to keep yourself healthy, and then it's just kind of one freak play that'll kind of change the dynamic of the year. I mean, baseball's a great game, but sometimes it'll take from you. I mean, I love it, and I always will. But yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. They're tough to deal with.
For sure. When you think back on it and the ebbs and flows of the injury piece, it'd be easy for a lot of kids, I feel like, to just say, you know what, maybe this wasn't for me. Easy to hang them up and away you go on to the next thing. And yet you've persevered through it. What was it that made you keep coming back? What made you want to be able to overcome those kinds of injuries?
I mean, I would say the game itself, but I think it's really just the people, the friendships, and the companionship with teammates. I mean, when you get in an atmosphere where everybody's kind of bought in and selfless and playing for one another, like you don't even have to be playing to enjoy it. My first year at Mount Olive was probably one of the first times I hadn't been like a contributing factor to a team, or at least a starting piece, and it was definitely a strange transition for me to watch games and cheer on my teammates from the sideline. But I think it was honestly a really good thing for me. It taught me that I don't have to. It's not all about me. Honestly, it's like that selfless piece where it's like, hey, you got to do whatever you can to contribute to this team, and whether that's on the field or off the field, like being positive, cheering them on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
As soon as there's a little bit of negativity built in or that selfishness, I feel like the entire vibe of the team gets brought down. So obviously that's what I mean. Like every player counts back to the weakest link. Even if you're not playing, I mean, you can still find a way to contribute and help out. So I think that was a big learning piece for me. And it was really hard at first, but I think it was really good for me again.
Mm-hmm. A few fun ones for you here, Josh. What is your go-to walk-up tune?
So I kind of bounced around. When I was 16 playing with the junior varsity college guys, they made fun of me. I can't even remember what my walk-up was initially. It was some Drake song, and they didn't like it at all. So one game we had our guys up in the PA booth or whatever playing tunes, and they turned on "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain for me. And I think I proceeded to go like 3 for 4 with like 2 doubles or something that game. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna run with this. So I rocked that for probably like 4 years, and now I mean I've kind of bounced. I think I got like a Kanye song right now or something. But yeah, that'll forever be my favorite walk up I ever had.
Typical Albertan with the country music, I gotta say. What is your favorite ballpark food?
Oh, honestly, I'm probably just classic, like a hamburger and maybe some fries or something. Or honestly, if we're considering ballpark food, we're lucky enough to get pregame meals like every day with at home, and they're usually pretty good. The people do a very good job with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't complain.
So when you're at the ballpark then and you've got that hot dog or a hamburger, what are your go-to toppings?
I'm pretty basic. I mean, I'm definitely not a picky eater, but if I'm gonna eat a hot dog or a hamburger, it's probably just like ketchup and mustard.
Oh.
Nothing like really out there.
No craziness, no deep fried onions or something crazy. So fair enough.
No, I mean I find it, but if I'm just going to a ballpark, it's probably just a little ketchup and a little mustard.
For sure. If you weren't playing baseball, what would you likely be pursuing?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say hockey, but at the same time, I don't know because I gave up on it a little too early. I would probably be doing a similar thing where I'm finishing up with school right now. and then kind of just seeing where it would take me. I think traveling is definitely something I want to really get into, and that might be something I start to do in the near future.
Do you have a spot where you're like, I got to visit this country or this town or anything that's on the bucket list?
I don't know if I have a specific destination, but I think it'd be really cool to go to Japan. Obviously, my dad played quite a few years there, and with hockey, and I kind of grew up there just as a young little baby. But I think the culture and I love the food. I think it would just be a really cool spot to check out.
For sure. A couple more for you before we let you go. What's that one piece of advice or those words of wisdom that you like to give to those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journeys?
Honestly, I think it's the one I always go back to is you have to remember that baseball, it's just a game. So at the end of the day, you have to enjoy it, have to have fun. The moment that you start to press and you start to really keen in on results is when the game and the fun gets sucked out of it. It kind of becomes and feels like a job. So I would just say enjoy every moment that you have, and you know what I mean, put in the time and put in the work, and you never know what you can achieve. So yeah, that would probably be the one thing I would say to the guys.
Fantastic stuff. Final one we ask everyone here on the show, Josh, what's the game of baseball mean to you?
That's I would say I don't think I could thank the game of baseball enough. The amount of people, great people, friends, coaches, memories I've built throughout playing the game. I don't think I could thank the game enough, whether it's just baseball itself or what comes of it. I mean, the game is obviously fun, but I think it's so much bigger than just a game. Those people and that I've met throughout baseball, I think will be lifelong friends. And yeah, I wouldn't trade the game of baseball for a lot of things in this world. So yeah, all I can do is thank it.
Well, we can't do anything but thank you for taking the time to be candid and have this great conversation with us, Josh. Again, congratulations on all the success you've had at this point, continued success with Lethbridge and beyond. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on the show today.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Let's head over to the home dugout for Tuesday's marathon and chat with Will Bomersbach. The San Antonio, Texas native and Newman University catcher was off to a flying start with Bombers this season, hitting .455 with 3 homers and 8 RBI in 4 games before he took a pitch to the face from Jacob Quills in a 13-10 loss to Moose Jaw. So he was relegated to part-time ball boy Tuesday, which also means he had one of the best seats in the house for what turned out to be an unbelievable game. Will, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
All right. Awesome. Glad to be here.
I know you weren't playing last night, and we'll get to that in a second, but you were in the dugout. 31-26 final score. What was that like to watch?
It was absolutely insane. It's definitely been the most unreal baseball game I've been a part of for sure. 100% without a doubt the highest scoring. I mean, it was one of those games where, I mean, the wind was blowing out, so everything that was up in the air had a shot. And then I would just say, too, that I just credit to our guys because we were down pretty heavy pretty early. I mean, I think we were down 21-4 at one point. And we could have just rolled over, just packed it in, throw away our bats, and gone home. But we stuck with it, and we battled all the way back. Unfortunately, fell up a little short, but I was really proud of our guys and the way we competed.
31-26 isn't a score you see every day, but what's maybe the closest thing you've seen to that?
Oh, man, the closest thing I've probably seen to that is I played a game at junior college where the final score was 21-18, and I thought that was a high-scoring game.
No kidding. So what's everyone saying in the dugout as this is all going on? I mean, are you guys kidding around a little bit about it because it is just so crazy, or are you getting mad about it? What's the vibe there?
Honestly, in the dugout, the vibes were immaculate, I would say. I would say that because everybody it just felt like every pitch we were in the ball game. It didn't matter what the score was. It felt like every single pitch we were in the ball game. And so the energy levels were up from inning 1 to inning 9, which was incredible considering, I mean, it was a 4.5-hour game or something like that. I mean, to have that kind of energy level and be able to sustain it throughout the entire game was just, it was great. I mean, everybody was excited. Everybody was on their feet for all 9 innings. I mean, nobody sat down, I think, for a single pitch, and that's something that you want in a clubhouse and in a ball club is a team that believes they're in it, no matter what the score says, no matter what the circumstances are.
Absolutely. On the flip side of it, it's really exciting for the hitters. For the pitchers, probably not so much. So how bad are you feeling for pitchers on both sides in a game like that?
It's tough, man. It's really tough. I told a lot of our guys who threw yesterday, I said, look, today was just one of those days, and you just kind of have to flush it and move on. My roommate is here at my billet home was actually the starting pitcher for us, and I've been just trying to tell him, man, you just got to flush it, because that's going to happen once all summer. I mean, yesterday that's only going to happen once, so there's nothing to hang your head about or anything like that. Just got to kind of flush it and move on to the next one.
Absolutely. So as mentioned, you're not playing as an injury has you sidelined for the time being. Walk us through what happened and the prognosis.
Yeah, so I was hitting. I believe it was my 5th at bat in the second game against Moose Jaw. Had a pretty decent game leading up to it. I think I had a hit by pitch, a walk, and a home run or something like that at that point. And then guy came in. He was a right-handed pitcher. Just a little bit wild, man. The first pitch went behind me, and so I just kind of knew he just was a little everywhere. Didn't help too. He stepped towards third base a little bit and then had a 3/4 arm slot. So regardless of what he threw, it looked like it was coming at you. I got to a 2-2 count, I believe, and then he was trying to go up with a fastball to get me to chase, and it just unfortunately ran inside too much, and it got me clean in the face. Completely, it broke my nose, knocked me out, and I was on the ground for about a good minute or so before I was able to fortunately walk off on my own. But pretty scary stuff, but yeah, no, thankfully I'm all right. But at the time, man, it was pretty scary.
You and I were talking off air about how you ended up in Brooks Hospital for a night, then you went over to Calgary. What's the prognosis now? How long are you out for, and what's sort of the comeback plan as far as how you get back into getting back into the batter's box?
Yeah, absolutely. So, doctor told me I'm off for 2 weeks of physical activity. He did say if I'm feeling good after the first week, I could start doing light exercise. So I think with how I'm feeling right now, I think that might actually be a go, is to start doing some light exercise, doing some light cardio, maybe riding the bike or something like that. And maybe start taking some swings off the tee and some flips. Then going into week 3 is when I plan on trying to take some live batting practice, and then try to see if I can stand in on a few bullpens just to get my eyes readjusted to some pitching. And then as far as if everything goes well, hopefully by week 4 I'm back playing. Now I doubt I catch in week 4. I probably will just get some DH or some pinch hit opportunities just to kind of work my way back in there. But hopefully, maybe a couple weeks after, by week 5 or week 6, I'm catching again. So, but yeah, as of right now, recovery has been going really well. The first few days were obviously rough, as they're going to be, considering the fact that I just gotten hit. But yesterday and today, I've had really, really fantastic days so far, just recovery wise. Zero to minimal pain. And I had headaches as well, and those have seemed to gone away as well. So, gonna build up slow, but at the same token, I've got to be held on a leash a little bit, because I'm going to be trying to do too much, I feel like.
I get the sense, especially with athletes, it's like you want to get back as quick as you can. At the same time, you want to do it the right way. And I'm glad to hear that things are going well on the physical side. I'm curious from the mental side. I mean, it's got to be a little weird to think, okay, when's the next pitch coming inside? Have you thought about that first couple of at-bats and how you got to kind of adjust your mindset a little bit to make sure that you are ready to stand in?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Fortunately enough, I don't feel like I'll have that fear aspect as much. I've been chomping at the bit, I feel like, but I just feel like I do need to I do think it'll take me a few ABs to get back adjusted and everything like that, and just to see pitching, because I will not have seen it for 2 or 3 weeks at this point. But I think I'll be okay. Now, it's going to be a different story once I step between those lines and get in the box, obviously. I'm being very, very, trying to be very positive about how I think it'll go. But I think there's definitely a factor to that. I think I just got to kind of see what happens and then deal with it if it comes, and just take it at bat by at bat and pitch by pitch.
For sure. Now, you were on a tear to start the season in your first 4 games, 455, 3 homers, 8 RBI. Heading into that injury, how happy had you been with your start?
Oh, I was thrilled. It was great. I mean, unfortunately, as a team, we're not getting off to the start I think we want to, but just being able to produce for our guys and give our pitchers some help and being able to help our other hitters maybe relax a little bit in the box and all that, just knowing that I could be up there and help the guys produce and get on base and do whatever I need to do. And if that means I have to drive the ball over the fence, or if that means I have to lay a bunt down, whatever it takes, I just want to help our guys win. So I was very fortunate, and I was very happy with the stretch that was going on.
Now, you're originally from San Antonio, Texas, so I'm curious, what have you thought of your time here in Canada so far?
I've absolutely loved it. I've had no problems with it. I've had a little bit of an adjustment period to a few things, obviously, being in a new country. But as far as the town of Brooks has gone, I love every bit of it. I love how small the community is. I love how involved it feels. I mean, like we talked about off air, just going to the hockey games and doing promotional stuff like that. I mean, I come from a bigger city, San Antonio, where there's millions of people in the city, and then I was in Walmart the other day and I got stopped. Just hey, how's it going? I saw you on X video or whatever. And so it's a great feeling. I mean, it's a great feeling to be a part of a special thing here. And as far as the town goes, the town of Brooks has been fantastic. So nothing to complain about here.
I was going to mention that whole, doing the promotional bit with the Brooks Bandits, for example, and that kind of thing. It seems as though you've really welcomed in the idea of being that shameless self-promoter to a certain extent. Was that the mindset going into this? Is, hey, it's a new opportunity, and you may not get another chance like this to come up to Canada again?
Absolutely. That was 100% it. I'd never done anything like this before for summer ball, never gone out outside pretty much my city of San Antonio. So coming up here, I told my dad, I was like, man, this is going to be an opportunity I'm going to remember for a lifetime. So I'm going to take full advantage of every opportunity I get and cherish it, because I know it will go away one day and I won't be able to get it back again. So I might as well try to soak in as many memories as I can.
Did it surprise you at all at how baseball happy everyone seems to be here? Because we're predominantly known as the hockey country, and football to a lesser extent, but baseball, we've got a pretty cool scene here.
Yeah, absolutely. It did take me by surprise a little bit. I was told coming in here that, hey, baseball, it's fun during the summer, but it's not necessarily the big deal. But I think those people were lying, because coming here, it's the big deal. And no matter where we go, I mean, we opened up at Okotoks and there were 6,000 people there. And it's like, whoa, it's like I've never played in front of a crowd more than maybe 150 people. And so it's been awesome to see the fans, and everywhere we've gone. We've been to Sylvan Lake, we've been to Okotoks, it's been awesome to see, even the town of Brooks, we were told, just because of the recent history, they haven't had as many fans. But I mean, we had a game a few nights ago. There's 500 people there, and that's great for the town of Brooks. So if we can continue to kind of get better and grow the brand and grow the Bombers and all that, and get as many people out there and cram it into Elks Field as possible, I mean, that's going to be something special for sure. Very
cool. Let's get into your backstory a little bit here. And how'd you get into baseball in the first place?
So my dad, my grandpa, and my uncles all played growing up and all that. And my dad, I guess, was my biggest influence. For as long as I can remember, I had a ball in my hands, whether it was playing wiffle ball in the backyard with my dad or, playing t-ball. I mean, my dad was my coach until I was about 10 years old. And so he guided me and taught me a lot of things. And honestly, I'm very, very grateful for him and getting me into the game of baseball, because it's given me, I felt, the purpose in my life. And I feel like for sure it's allowed me to do a lot of cool things, such as being up here in Canada, and has allowed me to meet a ton of great people, friends for life, people that I'll still be talking to when I'm old and gray. So it's that's kind of my backstory of how I got into it. But yeah, just growing up playing little league, and then little league turned into select ball, and then select ball high school to college, and now we're up here.
Now, was it all baseball all the time in your house, or was it a situation where you were a multi-sport kid?
So I played a little bit of basketball growing up, but I was primarily baseball. I mean, I loved everything about it. I was watching highlights every morning when I was eating cereal, going to school. I was going home, typing on the computer YouTube videos of baseball. I was watching highlights that I was watching the same video I'd seen 4 times because I just liked the player. I mean, I was all about baseball growing up.
Who was your guy growing up?
Buster Posey. That was my catcher growing up, because I'm a catcher, so it was Buster Posey. And then a little later on, I started to learn about. I love the history of the game as well, and so you guys like Yogi Berra and Johnny Bench and all that, and Thurman Munson and all those guys. I mean, man, learning about those guys is just astonishing to see what they did back in their day.
Absolutely. Now, when you look back on things, do you have any favorite memories or moments on the field where you kind of had to take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
I'll tell you what, the opening day when we were in Okotoks, that was one of them for sure. Just like I mentioned before, I'd never played in front of a crowd that big, and so being there, I was telling the guys, I don't know if you play in front of a crowd like this, but you need to look around and soak it in, because it may not happen again. So you got to be fortunate for that. Another time that I can remember for sure is when I was in junior college. It was the second to last game of my junior college career. I was not supposed to play this day. I got called to play, and we were in an elimination game in the playoffs. And I had a 2-homer game where I had 7 RBIs, and I had a 3-run home run and a grand slam. And it was just a very special moment for me, just because, I was able to help our guys win and produce that victory, which allowed us to then go into the finals the next day.
Very cool. Now, baseball is known as that game of failure, so I want to flip the script a little bit here. What's been the biggest obstacle or hurdle that you've had to overcome over your young career?
I'd say that goes back to my freshman year of high school. So I was just about to go into the spring season of my freshman year of high school, and then I was having some problems with my back, and we were trying to do everything we could at home to try to make sure it was good enough to go. I was taking a week off, going back out there, see if it was all right, take a week off, go back out there, see if it was all right. And it was never happening. And then finally we went, got an MRI and got some testing done. We found out that I had a stress fracture in my L5 vertebrae, and that sidelined me for the entirety of my freshman year. And as well, I was in a back brace for 3 months or so. And I was, 14, 15 years old, and I'm in a back brace. I'm thinking, man, this happening now, will I even be able to walk by the time I'm 20? So just haven't gone through that. It just was a lot of adversity that I had to go through, just recovering and getting back, and then just getting back to where I am today. And so that experience has taught me a lot about myself, taught me a lot how to be mentally strong and how to push through things when things are hard. And so that was something for sure. I felt like through my career, I've had to push through the hardest.
For sure. A few fun ones for you here. First off, what's your favorite ballpark food?
Favorite ballpark food. So I love a good ballpark burger. Now, when I was fortunate enough, I got to go to the Detroit Tigers field, Comerica Park, when I was younger, and obviously, the Finch family, they own the Tigers, so they had a Little Caesars in the ballpark, and Little Caesars in Detroit tastes way better than it does in Texas. I will say that. So that was something that stuck with me over the years for sure.
That's fantastic. What's on your burger usually?
So I'm a pretty picky eater, so this is gonna come off kind of crazy, but I literally just do meat and cheese, and that's it.
Wow. All right. So not even a condiment on there?
Nope, no condiments. I don't. I actually don't even do condiments. So.
Yeah, it is. I will admit, you said it sounds crazy, and I'm going to agree with you. Your go-to walk-up tune.
So right now, I got the Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani and Akon. That's one that I like. I had a buddy, so I was gonna copy my buddy, and then I was like, man, I gotta come up with something original. But he had he had Toxic by Britney Spears, and I really liked that one too. But I was like, man, I can't copy him. I gotta be creative and think of one of my own.
You're a dancey kind of guy, are you?
Absolutely. I got to try to get the crowd into it a little bit, especially when we got great fans here at Brooks.
100%. So if you weren't playing baseball, what would you likely be pursuing?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I've not really thought about that too much, but I guess when I was younger, I wanted to be a physical therapist for sports. I've always been around sports, whether it was going to my brother's games when I was growing up, or playing my own or something like that. So I guess just being around sports is something that I'd like to do and could continue to do.
Absolutely. And finally, have you tried ketchup chips yet?
Okay, so here's the thing on that. The first night I got here, my host family, they put the bag in front of me and said, "You have to try these. You have to try these." And so I begrudgingly did it. And I don't even like ketchup in the first place, so for me they were a no. But I heard they're fantastic here to the locals.
I figured that there'd be an answer like that when you talked about the lack of condiments. I'm like, now I got to ask that question for sure. So it's a Canadian delicacy, although I will admit I'm not the biggest fan. So we can talk about that another day. A couple more for you, Will, before we let you go here. What's your one piece of advice or those words of wisdom that you like to give those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journeys?
One of the things I like to tell them is work as hard as you can. And it's very cliche, and I know it's pretty basic, but I'm a big believer in that work wins, not talent, because talent will catch up to people at some point. It always has. I've seen it throughout my entire baseball career to this point. And usually those who work their tail off, work as hard as they can. I mean, going in early, staying late, doing all the right things. I feel like those are the kids that have success later on. I mean, success, whether that even be on the ball field, that may be in their professional careers when they're older. That's something that I tell a lot of young kids too. And then I also tell them too that another cliche thing, but it's just so true. It's just have fun. I mean, you're playing a kid's game, no matter how old you get, whether you're 23 or you're 6 years old, you're playing a kid's game. And the fact that you get to do that, it's something special. So just try to have as much fun as you can, and don't take yourself too seriously. Just go out there and relax and have fun and play the game. So those are what I'd say to young kids.
It's fantastic stuff. And the final question we're going to ask you here, Will, it's the one we ask everyone here on the show. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
Everything. I mean, literally everything. I mentioned it before, but it's given me a purpose. It's taken me out of my darkest moments. It's brought the most joy in my life. It's, again, like I mentioned also before, it's allowed me to meet so many great people. So it's taken me places I never thought I'd be. It's just given me so much. And I'm just so grateful for everyone around me, every coach I've had, every teammate I've had, whether it might have been a good experience with them or a bad experience. I mean, it's at the same token too. We're all in it for the same goal and the same purpose. And so I'm very, very fortunate for everyone and everything. And this, I don't plan on leaving this game. Fortunately, when my playing career is done, I want to coach when I'm done. So hopefully I can stay in this game for a lifetime and just create so many great memories to keep going with.
Well, we hope you get to do that as well. We'll really appreciate the fun and the time that you've spent with us. Best of luck with the recuperation. Congrats on all the success you've had at this point. Continued success in Brooks and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And our final guest this week is another look inside the dugout with a WCBL coach. Joe Ellison is into his second season as the skipper of the Fort McMurray Giants after guiding the squad to a playoff appearance last year where they fell to the eventual champion Okotoks Dogs. Ellison says it was an opportunity for some of the younger players to learn what it takes to beat the best. Needless to say, expectations are high for Ellison and the Giants in 2024, who have answered the bells so far this season. Coach, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Excited to be here.
Let's start talking about the season as a whole. How are you feeling 10 games in?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, we've got off to a pretty good start. Winning the home opener was fun, and we dropped 2 right after that, but we just had a positive road trip, and we're starting to get our reinforcements in. We were short 10 guys there the first week or so it'll be exciting to get the full team here.
Talk a little bit about what you're seeing out of the initial stretch here. What are you liking? What are you hoping you can work on as you build up towards the end of the season here?
I think, the thing that's really stood out for us, comparatively to last year is our offense. We've hit the ground running. We're putting the ball in play a lot more. We're playing fast, which is kind of how we built the team this year. And I think, it's only going to get better and better as we add a few more talented bats to the lineup. And then once our pitching's fully here, I think, we're going to be able to, play some complete games and maybe not get into these situations where we're battling it out 10 to 10 in Moose Jaw later in the year.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the building of the team. Take us back to the off season, and once the 2023 season is over, you obviously get your eye on, okay, what's next? What did you learn about last year that you wanted to maybe improve upon or work on heading into 2024?
Yeah, I think it was a huge learning curve. I mean, being up here for the first time last year, kind of seeing the league, I thought, we were built to do some damage last year, and then I got up here to Fort Mac, and I saw our ballpark for the first time, and I watched how it played, and I learned, how the league is played. So I definitely wanted to, build around speed, build around, putting the ball in play, throwing strikes. I think is, the three keys to winning in the Wick Bowl. I think that's how a lot of the better teams are built. Now this year with the new baseballs, I think, you're going to see a few more home runs. You're going to see balls get into the gaps a little bit easier, which is exciting. But I think the way we built our team with the speed, it's only going to add to what we already have.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about the team identity. Did you have an idea about what you wanted them to kind of grasp a hold of going into this summer?
I think, last year we, as down the stretch run, a lot of the guys that returned were the guys that stuck with it for the entire summer and pushed through the playoffs. And it's a really blue-collar group. The guys joke around that they're part of the military and they're holding the line and whatnot. And it's kind of been like that. Those same guys were the guys up here early, kind of setting the table here this last couple of weeks. And, I think we're really blue-collar. The guys enjoy when it rains and when it's cold. And it just adds to their enjoyment, although, no one likes being cold on a baseball field.
Mm-hmm. How much of it, when it comes to bringing back veterans, was making sure that they were the ones who were there till the end, and especially you lose to Okotoks in the first round there, maybe getting that bittersweet taste in your mouth, like, okay, we can do better. How much of that played into how you wanted to build this team going forward?
Yeah, I think it definitely had a role. I mean, there was other guys that I wanted to come back, and they had different opportunities, whether they, threw a little bit more in school this year, or they took a different opportunity in the Northwoods or somewhere else, and that's their choice, and I'm happy for them. I want to see guys move forward. But the group that did come back, definitely a sour taste in the mouth. The guys want to win. They want to be competitive. I mean, I think last year taught them that, this team can make a run at winning the championship, and they should. And I think they're seeing kind of the benefits of a positive year here with our attendance going up and being supported in the community, which is really exciting.
When you think about that, what kinds of things do you need to work on to be able to overcome the behemoths of the league, the Okotoks, the Sylvan Lakes, who are just, you're nipping on their heels right now?
I think, just continue to play the way we want to play and not getting too thrown. I mean, having been in travel ball in Ontario for as long as I have and knowing about Okotoks and Sylvan and everything like that, there is the intimidation factor when you go into those ballparks and they're packed, and especially Okotoks with, 50, I think it's 5,500 now with the new seats they added down the first base line. And it's a bit intimidating. So once they get past that and realize it's just a baseball game and the people are going to yell and scream regardless of who wins and who loses, I think we can overcome some of this and, hopefully our talent kind of shines through in that situation.
Very international squad that you have. I know you had an Australian last year, and you've really expanded the pool again this year. Talk about the melting pot that you have on that roster, and being able to see different kids from different walks of life all come together in this northern Alberta city.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't something I set out in October to do, is try and recruit from 5 different countries, but it just kind of fell in our lap that way. So far, the Max Stagg arrived today. So now we have both of our Australians, and Max and Darcy are actually childhood best friends. They grew up together.
Oh, cool.
And that's how that all came together. Once Max rejoined, he said, we got to bring my mate up here. And, we tried to get Darcy last year. It didn't work out. And he's been a huge piece for us. And then our South Koreans came from New Mexico military, where I was able to get an OBJ alum to kind of hook us up with that, where, he had these 2 kids that wanted to come play summer ball and they wanted to go together somewhere. And once I kind of seen video, and I was all in, and Ian's been fantastic on the mound, and Son's been great. He can play third in the outfield, and he's been one of our best players. So it's exciting to have these guys from all over and kind of see them come together, and the boys are starting to get to know each other. And, baseball is an internet, or a world language, so to speak, right? So they're coming together great.
Speaking of the language side, are you picking up some of the dialects from some of the other guys that have maybe second and third languages?
Yeah, a little bit. The South Korean, I don't think I'll ever get my hand on, but the normal, the Australians, big personality guys. Let's leave it at that. The boys love, learning what, how they say things, and it's already a talk on the bus for sure.
We had Max on the show last year, and I got to tell you, he's just a stand-up kid, and it was hard to believe he was 17 or 18 at the time, and just a well-spoken young lad. So it was cool to get to know him a little bit last year, and looking forward to seeing him again this year. I'm curious, when you look at your roster, I know this is kind of like picking favorite kids, but was there one or two guys that you went, fans are going to really enjoy watching this kid play?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one that stands out to me, and he's actually off to a little bit of a rougher start offensively, but Corey Morrow is a kid that I've known since him and his family. We've known each other, I don't even know now, 20 years or so, with his older brother, Kyle, who coached in college, and now he's a professional coach. And then his middle brother, Connor, I hired with the Ontario Blue Jays, and he's running the player development there now. So I've known Corey since he's been, I think 10 years old. I've been watching him play baseball. Just really gritty, blue collar, plays great defense, doesn't take at bats off. He's a spark plug. He's fiery. If he strikes out, you're going to see something. He's going to get angry. You're going to see it, but he cares. And the way he plays the game kind of is the way the city's I'm learning the city is very blue collar, and Corey plays the game very, very hard and very gritty, and I think the fans are really going to enjoy him.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to ask about that. Is how much of recruiting a team is based on your own personal ideologies, and how much of it is trying to buy into what the community is hoping to see out of a team as well, if you know what I mean. It's one of those interesting situations where you want the fans to get behind these guys, but they kind of have to identify with them to a certain extent too.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily looked at it that way. But I do know what, our fans enjoy. They enjoy gritty play. They enjoy fast play. They enjoy hustle. That's, kind of how the town's built. And, I wanted to get as many guys that I could in here that were going to play that way. And at the end of the day, that's the way the league plays, and it's what's successful. I mean, I've seen it now for a year, and I think the way the team's built just happens to fit the town a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned second year at the helm here. Take us back to last year again. Did anything take you by surprise when it comes to the league, the style of play, the quality of talent, that kind of? Was there anything that really kind of threw you off as you dipped your toe into the WCBL pool?
I don't know if I was thrown off necessarily. I think learning, the way the teams play the game, the style differences, the ballpark differences. It's just, you don't usually see a league where you have, for example, our stadium, it's just massive. The ball doesn't travel at all. Then you go down, you're playing your rival Brooks where the ball flies, and, it's just different each place you go, and it's always intriguing to see. And each team's built different. I think it kind of makes it fun. Brooks plays to the long ball, which they should, because the field is, really small, where Okotoks and Sylvan are built around, a more balanced approach. And in Sylvan especially, I know Jason does a great job recruiting, and his teams are fast. They're hard to play against. They're going to bunt. They're going to hit and run deal, and, we're taking them on tonight, so it'll be exciting to see them. But I think learning the coaches, learning the style of play for each group is probably the most challenging, but also the most intriguing part.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your baseball past a little bit here, Coach. How'd you get into the game in the first place?
That's a good question. I played hockey and baseball growing up in Mississauga, so I did both until I was 15. I ended up playing for the Ontario Blue Jays for 4 years. I went to college in Texas, Oklahoma, and South Dakota. Got hurt in South Dakota, ended up started coaching, kind of walked into a position with OBJ there, and kind of grew within the program, ended up running it for several years there before jumping down to the college ranks, which is something I always really wanted to do. And it was actually Corey's brother, Kyle McKinnon, who's now with the Royals organization, who got me down there. And we did the whole college thing last year, and I'll be going back down this fall as well.
Very cool. Talk about the coaching side of things. What was it about it that made you go, I want to do that when my playing days are done?
I think the reason I went back to the Ontario Blue Jays in the first place and I coached when I was in college too, is I had so many great mentors and coaches when I played there that, I kind of decided once I started playing collegiately, I was like, you know what, I think I want to be a part of that long term. I think if, your goal is to play in the big leagues, and, that only happens for a small percentage of people. But, you kind of look back and you're like, I want to give back to the program. I really am appreciative of what people did for me. And being able to do that with OBJ for as long as I did, was a real honor.
Mm-hmm. When you think about that opportunity to give back to the game, what's it mean to you to be able to do it at so many different levels?
It's been fun. I mean, it's a cool thing. Like I said, I always wanted to be a college coach. It didn't work there. For the first couple of years, you kind of have to build your resume, right? It's not easy to get down there to the States and, build your resume. I really enjoyed my time with OBJ. It was incredibly difficult to even leave. I think it's cool. I think it's a great thing. I really enjoyed the college step. I really like working with the older players, the college guys are all in on stuff. And it's not that high school kids aren't, but it's a much different thing. You know what I mean? It's a different group of players and it's a different age group and it comes with its different challenges. But I enjoy it. I love it.
Kind of a similar question, especially in Fort McMurray, where it's still I think a lot of people still think of it as a relatively new program, right? Like they launched in 2016. The first year was basically a wash because of a wildfire there, and they're starting to get some momentum behind them. Talk about being able to be a part of an organization that is really taking those steps every year towards being better and better and better, and eventually being a powerhouse in this league.
Yeah, no, it's been really exciting. And, I didn't have the opportunity to coach collegiately this year. So to be able to work with Andrew and Dutch and be able to be a part of this kind of, for the most part for a whole year, kind of just biding my time till I got to be up here, to be able to be a part of the growth of this has been really exciting. And, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of volunteers up here that put a lot into this to make it what it is. And it's exciting to see it grow. I mean, from everything I learned prior to getting here, the COVID years really, really hurt us here. Everyone kind of, it began being a baseball town a little bit, but then COVID struck and it kind of turned back into a hockey town. But last year, with a little bit of success we saw, crowds starting to get back here. And, I think this year, if opening weekend was any indication, I think, we're starting to really get into the community and people are excited about the Giants and excited about coming to the ballpark, every week or every other week, I guess, as it is.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool to see too. I mean, the Fort McMurray Minor Baseball Association, for example, was named the big program of the year from Baseball Alberta. Like there's a real groundswell in that community as far as like really becoming baseball oriented. Talk about that grassroots level and being able to make an impression at that with that community.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, we have tons of kids. Our Sunday games usually are filled with kids, which is awesome. Our Junior Giants days, and I got to give kudos to our players, and it's not pushed by us or Dutch or Andrew or myself. They genuinely want to hang out with the kids in the community. They genuinely want to have fun with them after the game when they come on the field every day. And we're running more kids camps, which I think is going to only help grow the game in Fort McMurray. But I know enrollment is up this year, from what I've learned. And the community is awesome. I mean, they put in brand new dugouts at the field up here, the youth field beside our stadium, which, the support and trying to make it better for the kids is something that is only going to help grow the game here.
For sure. You've seen the game from a bunch of different aspects across this country over the years. How would you personify the growth of the game in this country from coast to coast to coast?
I think it's trending in the right direction. I mean, a little more detached now from the high school side of it here after the last 2 years, but I mean, the talent level is growing. I mean, you look at, each year there's more and more big leaguers that are Canadian, and I think that helps to obviously draw people into wanting to play baseball in the first place. Having programs like the Ontario Blue Jays, Great Lake Canadians, Okotoks, Langley out in BC, you got ABC in Quebec, and even the East Coast, a friend of a friend has started a program, and they're starting to place kids in the U.S. And I think the bigger it gets in Canada, the more competitive it gets, and who knows, maybe we'll start seeing some of these youth events, really, really seeing some big time talent at them at these nationals and whatnot, which is really, really exciting.
Absolutely. A couple more before we let you go. A bit of a spin on one of the ones I usually ask the athletes is when those kids are starting out on their baseball journeys, what advice would you give them? I want to go at it from a coach's perspective with you. Let's say you get to talk to, you've got the ear of a bunch of young coaches who are just starting out on their journeys. What would your big piece of advice or those words of wisdom be to those coaches who are just trying to make an impression on their communities?
Well, first of all, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of unpaid hours, especially if you want to go the college way. But you got to stay positive. If you truly believe you can, impact, players' lives and you really want to be a part of their lives, then the money and the time doesn't mean anything to you. It's more seeing the kids, if you're at the high school age, grow, develop, and go to college, or hopefully play professional baseball. If it's at the collegiate age group, you're looking to to continue to add on the foundation they have and see them do great things. And that great thing could be getting their college degree. It could be becoming a husband or a father or whatever it might be. But I think there's the first and foremost goal of a young coach in general should be, how can I make this player better every single day? And you just grow from there.
Absolutely. Final question. It's the one we ask everyone here on the show, Coach. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
That's a good question. I think, it's been my whole life for the better part of my whole adult lifespan, I would say. I started coaching at 18 there when I went to college. I've been playing baseball since I was 7. And, I think, it's everything. It's everything. I think if you really want to do this and you want to coach, you're going to have to probably make it a priority. And, hopefully there's some other things that move into my life here in the near future to take my mind off baseball a little bit. But, it's everything to me. So I enjoy it. I love it.
Well, we've loved having you on the show here, Coach. Really appreciate the time. Congratulations on all the success you've had at this point at every turn. Continued success in Fort McMurray and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again to Josh Kabayama, Will Bomersbach, and Joe Ellison for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. If you like this or any other episode, make sure to drop us a rating and review on your podcast app, as those actions help spread the word about ADS. A massive tip of the cap to our Platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, and Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment, for their continued generosity in helping us tell the game stories in our province. Our teammates' support allows us to cover costs like web hosting fees and travel. If you'd like to join our roster, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.